Well, this week.
No, 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 no. You have to start off by saying like, "Hello."
Oh, hi everyone. How's it
Hi.
going?
Hi.
So this episode is on IWA Mid South House House of Hardcore second anniversary. It's nothing to do with Tommy Dreamer's promotion. Tommy Dreamer, the would-be murderer of Paul Heyman at WrestleMania 17.
Yeah, House of Hardcore's first show also happens to be House of Hardcore's last show because this isn't a promotion. This is a venue. It's a fucking garage.
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
name of a venue in Charlestown, and this is their last show there. Oh, the memories that we've missed.
IWA Mid South, Eva. It's a
Yeah,
promotion,
yeah, it is.
which is what we debuted on. It's our roots.
Hmm.
We departed from the journey of the REMP last time with an interview, a contemporary interview covering contemporary topics. WWE, AEW. Fuck that shit. We're going back to our roots now. 1997, it's not. 2002, it is. Ian Rotten, the fucking 5 years that have passed since we've last left him, they really have taken a toll on him, haven't they?
Yeah, so the first thing we fucking see is Ian Rotten. He's wearing a hilarious beanie that's halfway up his head that just says basketball.
Basketball. And
He's looking very sad and he's saying sorry. And I'm like, oh no, what's happened? It's even worse than I'd feared. Gangrel did not make it to the arena tonight.
Gangrel didn't make it to the arena tonight. I would have liked to actually see Gangrel there, but it's
Yeah, me too.
Ian Run. He's just like so sad. It's sort of like if you were to make it into a meme, you would be like, when you boy are you, and she doesn't. Whoa.
So
Anyway,
yeah, it's
so
nice to check in on the Firestarter. 5 years since we last saw him.
So Gangrel isn't here. Ian Ron is just sort of like rambling about like, oh, his airline tickets didn't get through, and I really wanted him to be here tonight. But then, guess who comes in? Oh, it's Bill Payne. What's Bill Payne got to say?
Well, he's interrupted by, "Ah, he didn't show up because he's scared, motherfucker." Which I assume is Bill Payne's equivalent of Austin's glass breaking.
This Gangrel fella is a washed up, filled up. You get the idea.
Yeah. Ball comes out of a mate. Ian mocks this friend for wearing a purple bandana.
I took this to be homophobic. Did you?
Yeah, probably mildly, because, like, I don't know, purple's gay. It's kind of like pink.
Yeah, I thought that Ian's response to Bill Payne saying, like Gangrel's a piece of shit or whatever, it was really funny at first because Ian Rotten like goes like, "Oh, hey, Bill Payne, how many pay-per-views you got?" And like, WWF defender Ian Rotten, just a lot of like Greg Matthews and CCW people just like, "Oh, we fucking love Tough Enough. How dare you
Yeah.
disparage the WWF?" But then like it went a level above that because then Ian Rotten sort of goes like, "Oh, remember when you had to drop the IWA title because your buddy Jimmy Cornette said you couldn't play with us?" And everyone goes, "Oh." And then goes a level above that because he goes, "Oh, you're so busy deep throating Cornette's cock." And yeah, this is just.
It says something about a banana up the bum
I think
to
that
his friend.
yeah, that applies to Todd Morgan. I think it is Todd Morton rather. And then like,
Nah, Todd Morton's bald. This guy had hair. I don't know who this was.
oh damn, I don't know who this bad motherfucker is, but he's a bad
Yeah,
motherfucker.
Bull Payne is the leader of a faction called the Bad Motherfuckers. He's a great leader.
Yeah, we'll see a bit of that later, won't we? So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of talk about how Bill Payne is gay, and Ian Rotten he doesn't like gay people, I think, and so that's a bad thing.
A running theme on this entire era.
A running theme on the independent scene, yes. Luckily, the British guy,
Trent
rugby
Breaker,
thug, Trent Baker, the most British name you've ever heard. He
My
comes
White
out,
King.
he comes out, and he starts beating up on Ian Rotten. But then guess who comes in? It's Axel. Axel and Ian, the brothers. They're here, and
They're mates again. Yay.
they're mates again. They're a tag team. And then for some reason, Ian gets a mic again, and like I think he calls out like someone on the internet who said like Axel is shit or something like that. It's really weird. And then
And a lot of shows there's always comments like, "Hey, don't believe the internet. That's some weird stuff."
you can't always believe the internet, Eric. Anyway, this is the point where you first hear, I believe it's Mike Wolf, who's the guest commentator. There's all
Mark Mark Wolf and Jim Fannin are commentators. They're not a thrilling combo. Not tonight, anyway.
they're fucking disgusting. I hated them so fucking much. They're perhaps the worst combo I've ever heard. Jim Fannin, like literally, so much of my don't suggest Jim is fucking shit. Shut the fuck up, Jim, because he's so fucking terrible. I hated him.
Wow. Is that why you were
Anyway.
listening to Rah Rah Rasputin instead of listening to the commentary?
Yes,
Fair enough.
I managed to eventually just like deal with him, but fucking hell, it was terrible. But anyway, the summary of this promo is that in exchange for Gangrel, Bull Payne will be participating in a tag team I Quit match later on. Him and Tracy versus him and Trent versus Ian and Axel Rotten, and the whole thing is someone's gonna fucking bleed. That's the whole thing of IWA.
The remainder of that Ian promo was pretty goddamn good. I could see why Ian had like a magnetism at this time. He goes,
What
"You're
the?
gonna fucking bleed." He goes off age.
You can get behind it, yeah. What the fuck is with his forehead? What, like, the wound he has doesn't feel like a scar, it feels like something that he hasn't cleaned off.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. It's like beyond blading scars. It's just like, I don't know, it just looks like a badger's gone to town on him.
Yeah, it feels like a missile just hit his head, but it's a, like, midget missile. Then after that, we get the first match, which is a fella called Dysfunction versus, this is a surprise to me, pro wrestling Noah legend Brad Bradley.
Yes. AKA Jay Bradley. Ryan Braddock apparently was in WWE at one point.
Former Bound for Glory series participant. That's what I know him as.
Yes, I saw him in a battle royale. He was facing the likes of the Pope.
The Pope. Amazing. So, Dysfunction. I don't know much about this guy, and you know who doesn't help is the ring announcer, because Brad Bradley, he gets a weight, he gets a height, he gets a hometown. Dysfunction, he gets none of that. He just gets his name called. So, I don't know anything about this guy, except that he's dysfunctional.
Well, here's a bit of info I found. It's that he was called the Weed Man in Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
The weird
Reckon
man.
we know more about him now that we know he likes a bit of the odd wacky backy.
That's what's making him so dysfunctional. Now, this match, I was really overcome by this match, really. Just like overwhelmed by like how terrible it was. Not just in the ring, but also just like this as an overall product is really terrible. Because like Mark Wolf, he has nothing at all to say. Like he's not there as a color commentator, he's just there and he seems very irritable. Like I wouldn't want to converse with him in real life. He seems quite like an unpleasant person.
He's not trying to do any kind of like collar shtick, and there's no chemistry. It's like I hear, Fannin is good with other people, and that might be true. Dave Prazak
Like-
is what I heard is a good combo, but This is not good. There's just nothing to go off really.
The way that Jim Fannin attempts to do chemistry really reveals this because, like, he'll just go, Dysfunction has a weight disadvantage in this match, and he might need to watch out for those power moves, Mark Wolf. And then Mark will just stay silent. And then Jim will just also stay silent. And then, wow, a big power move from Brad Bradley. It's just so fucking shit!
The only real joy I got from commentary, and I wouldn't even call it a joy really, but it made me laugh, is that one of them just keeps repeatedly snorting a bit of snot from their nose. Just
Yeah, just really inconsiderately. They don't know how to do this. I think that's the whole bit root of it. They don't know how to do this. And as well as that, you also get a bunch of cameos from this guy called Nick Manowar.
shit, I don't know.
It's just this like scrawny sounding guy, and like Jim Fannin like tries like bullying him around, just going, Nick Manowar, do you know the name of that move? And then like 10 seconds later, this guy comes along, nah, I don't know any of it. I thought so. it's it's also a terrible dynamic. This match, it's not really good at all. Brad Bradley, he does some clubbing forearms and also a power move. So I feel confident in saying he's a lot like those pro wrestler guy jins, such as Stan Hansen. Utterly amazing stuff. Even though this is roughly 16 years before he goes to Noah, I can still feel him begging for another run in this match.
See, I've seen some Brad Bradley, which is quite good, but he's very young and clearly fucking awkward in this match. Dysfunction can kind of bump around for him, but it's not that engaging.
Yeah, and then Brad just hits some sort of suplex, and it looks as if Dysfunction is hurt. And then afterwards, the crowd chants that Bradley sucks dick, right? So he grabs a camel clutch on the perhaps injured Dysfunction and goes, "Come on, I suck dick, huh?" And that's not the comeback he was thinking it was. But yeah, shit.
Point in this match, Bradley has Dysfunction in midair for a brainbuster or something, and you hear a fan say, "He looks like a paper boy."
Yeah, there is. Oh man, I was actually wondering which of the participants that crowd member was saying looks like a paper boy. Who did you think it was?
Well, Brad Bradley's kind of weirdly dressed. He's in like, would you call them slacks? Brown slacks?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's-
Weird look for wrestling.
I don't
I
get.
don't know if that's what paper boys wear.
I mean, I suppose he looks the more formally dressed. I don't get why wrestlers formally dress like that. It looks stupid. You look stupid, Bradley.
Like fucking Baron Corbin now. Oh, what's his
He'd probably think if that's a compliment or something. Wait, what? Baron Corbin?
what's his nick? Oh, Constable Corbin. That's what I was looking for. Sorry to
Constable Corbin.
yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of cunts, let's move on to the next match, which is full of them. Adrian Serrano versus Cash Flow. What's with these guys?
This match has a very anti Scotty Too Hotty narrative, and I'm completely against that. Adrian Serrano, right?
Yeah.
He comes out. He's a weird-looking wrestler. He's got like
Yeah, he is,
baby blue
yes.
tights, bleached blonde hair, and he's got like the kind of like Grandmaster Sexay style shades. And the crowd chant Scotty in reference to Scotty Too Hotty, but Serrano's like, "Yeah, I'm built like Scott Steiner."
Aye. And then Cashflow comes out, right? And Cashflow, he looks like the fucking Hobbit. And this guy, like, I don't like Cashflow, honestly. He doesn't come off well, IMO. He grabs the mic and he just, like, tears this guy down. He says, "Oh, you think you're like Scott Steiner? No, you're like Scotty Too Hotty, who is shit." And
I mean, the crowd already made that joke, and Scotty Too Hotty is cool, so fuck you, Cashflow. I hope you never make it to TNA.
meanwhile, Jim, his contribution to this is, the only way he's like Scott Steiner is that he has blonde hair and a goatee. Not even anything funny. Not even like a joke about steroids or something like that. Just like fucking.
We needed Gargiulo badly. Thankfully, we.
Perhaps we did. So is Jim meant to be like the IWA Mid-South commentator that like everyone knows and loves, like Eric Gordula for CCW?
Well, Siobhan said he was good with Dave Prazak. That's all I really have to go off.
Right. So are we to assume that he gets more emotion in his voice? That he has like actually
I would hope so.
smart, insightful things to say?
I have actually seen him wrestle
Oh, where?
in IWA Mid-South. He was, I can't remember it too well, but he was a big heel. I'm assuming he has a character switch in the next year or so, and he needs one badly.
Oh, yeah. Here, like the whole thing apparently is that he has beef with Adrian Serrano, the real shooter, Adrian Serrano, because he is saying that if Adrian Serrano were to focus on his pro wrestling career rather than his shoot fighting career, then maybe he'd get somewhere. But instead, Adrian Serrano, like a piece of shit, is doing real fighting, and it makes no sense. Somehow, this translates into like Adrian Serrano. He wants to prove himself by like not doing submissions and instead doing quote unquote wrestling, even though fucking submissions is wrestling. So like what happens is that they'll be doing grappling. Cash will get him in a like face locks like that, but then he pulls him out into a hammerlock, but then he lets him up, seemingly to do stand up, but that's not fucking wrestling, that's boxing, you piece of shit. But there's a really terrible exchange here in commentary, which is really just maddening to me, honestly, because Jim, the thing about him is he calls everything Matt Striker-esque in this sense. He just calls every single thing he sees. He tries to document every single move that happens. And this is common with like the other commentators that you see on the show as well. They just call every fucking thing. Not even like saying like why it's happening or how it's occurring. Just waist lock, wrist lock, all this sort of shit over and over again. And this leads to this thing where, as said, Adrian Serrano gets him in the position for a hammerlock, but then he lets him up. So Mark Wolf says, "Hold on, did he just let him up?" And Jim says, "I think he did. I was too busy trying to call the reversals." Literally too busy trying to call everything.
I don't even know how you told the commentators apart. Like, they did nothing to like distinguish themselves from each other.
Well, Mark Wolf sounds like a fucking... he sounds different, right?
I don't even know. Like, the only times I knew which one was which is when they said, "Well, that's an interesting thing, Mark." "Yes, Jim." The crowd starts chanting "Donkey Punch," and I went to open incognito window so I could Google that.
Oh, is that a sex thing?
Yeah, a donkey punch.
Oh.
Of course, sex act where a man punches his partner in the back of the head or elsewhere during ejaculation, usually while having sex from behind.
Okay, it probably just means then just punching in the back of the head, and then Urban Dictionary took that to a different level. But yeah, I think that's then just like, because Adrian Serrano, when you stand someone up in a fight, that implies, no, let's not grapple, I would like to punch you and kick you. It means stand up. So you're probably right to think, hey, punch him, perhaps in the back of the head, that's what I prefer, but punch him. But it's just, this match sucks. I just wrote down, like, I hate this a couple times. And I also wrote, that I hate hooking the leg because, look, I've watched enough indie shows recently in the early 2000s to know that one of the worst things a commentator can do is just this sort of bullshit where they try and come off as wise, like they're strategizing or something like that. They know strategy when all they know is pro wrestling. They don't know how to fucking fight. They all just know this fake shit. They know WWF. And so they're like, should have hooked the leg there. Fuck off! You don't have to hook the leg. It's not a necessity. And plus, they might not be going for the hook of the leg. That might not be in the booked version of the match. You're just making them look stupid.
Yeah, well, one thing I always hate is, well, we didn't get all of it.
Bro, we fucking get so many cases of that in these shows. You can't just say, oh, you fucked that up. I don't know, did you like this match?
Fuck no. In fact, I wanted to skip forward. Serrano misses the top right elbow. Cash flow hits the top right leg drop for the win. Serrano is Scotty too hotty confirmed. Let's move on. He could only dream of being Scotty too hotty. A very solid work.
You can only dream of it. And then Castro like cuts this weird promo afterwards where like he just says something like, "Oh, hey Adrian, you got shit on." And then people go, "Yeah," and then he leaves. Shit, utter shit.
Didn't even see the worm. Well, that Scotty too
Didn't
hotty
he-
banner, no worm.
Didn't even shoot really. He's got fucking UWF kick pads out. He's not even shooting. Terrible. But then we've got this next match here. Colt Cabana versus this new kid on the block, Vic Capri. What do you know about Vic Capri?
Not a whole lot, but he looks like somebody plucked from mid-2000s WWE developmental system. He actually looks a little like Lex Luger in the face to me.
He goes very well on a summer's day.
Ah, yes. Capri-Sun, yes. Well done.
Yes.
Congratulations
Okay.
on a completed joke.
Thanks, Trigger. You were lapsing into it there.
So, Colt Cabana seems like the first guy that the people are really into. Do you have a Colt Cabana opinion?
Colt Cabana, he is cool by me. He's not my favorite wrestler, and you know, I don't know if I'd go for everything he does, but he's got like, you know, he's got a passion for it, a passion for like wrestling, and it comes through. He has like more energy than basically everyone else right now. As in, like he comes in, he feels like he's got like, you know, purpose behind him. And like, you know, he interacts with fans well. He like steals a Hawaiian shirt from someone, and also he's got attention to detail too, because the ref, he goes over to Colt Cabana and he checks his legs, and then Colt just like puts out his arms, and then he goes, "Bro, check this too," and he forces the ref to do his job, which I like. You know, could have just left it without that, but you know, that's not Colt's way.
I guess the thing I appreciate most about Colt is that he's a big World of Sport mark, and he's good at sort of a tribute match in that style.
Yes.
Didn't necessarily get that here, but that's just a general Colt take.
As you saw, this was one of those matches where I just really got sick of Jim, so I just put on Rasputin by Boney M, and you know what? From there, my night improved. I started liking this match.
You might have missed some weird crowd stuff. I found the crowd kind of odd throughout this. They chant weird things, like we mentioned Donkey Punch before. They said someone looks like a paper boy. They chant Smart Mark video at the start of the first match. Here they chant, "Don't tease us. Don't tease us." What's going on there?
Who do you think they're chanting it at? Are they chanting it at the buff guy, Vic Capri, or?
And I couldn't even work that out through like context, because I have eyes and ears, and they both function.
I mean,
I couldn't figure out what they were saying. Like, what? Who's tooting who? I don't get it.
that is confusing. I'm just trying to okay, so that must be based on the whole thing of, oh, you're teasing us by being cute. And considering this crowd's view on such matters later on, it's quite contradictory, don't you think?
Are you talking about like the homophobic signs?
We'll get to those.
Very interesting section. It's interesting that you enjoyed this match despite listening to disco while watching it, because I wrote that this is a solid match, but the crowd being very into Colt helped it along for me.
Well, that's true, but I think that Colt is a ray of light in this show, and I think that's apparent enough without the crowd, exactly, you know, because he just like has a lot more speed and a lot more like finesse to what he does. And Vic Capri as well, this is a guy who seems like knows what he's doing. He's got the sort of he's got the OVW look, you know, like he's like buff enough that he'd, you know, show up on 2002 SmackDown or something like that. And it seems as if along with that comes the sort of skill set that you'd want out of a guy like that. Like he shows off his athleticism, he shows off, you know, his pace, like he just does a bunch of fucking like dives and shit like that off the corners, and it's great. It seems as if with this match they're trying to establish him as an up and comer, and they're doing so by like having them go 50-50 with a guy who is established, which, you know, is a fine enough match concept, and they do it pretty well. So did you not like it that much, or were you just...
No, it was pretty good. I just thought, obviously, we didn't have the most thrilling beginning to the show, and when a show doesn't start well, it kind of gets you in a bit of a funk. Like I say, Colt being over helps it. Finishes when Cabana looks like he's trying to hit a top rope back suplex, but Capri counters with what I guess is a Asai DDT.
It's Shiranui, or the slice bread number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the finish there, but before that, there's like a thing where they kind of fuck up doing a sidewalk slam. Vic tries to go up, but then Colt sort of like, they get the communication a bit wrong, so they stay for a second, just like, before they go up. And so Colt, what he does to compensate for this is just to destroy Vic Capri's neck on the impact, just like fold him, which I thought was good. The Shiranui he ended up doing, that was actually his second attempt. The first time he tries it, they go up top, and then Colt just pushes him, and Vic just fucking falls. It's great.
Oh yeah, and he lands on a fan's lap, and the fan's like, "Whoa there, come on now." He didn't look very pleased that all of a sudden there was a wrestler flying at him.
Fellas, is it gay to catch people on topes?
It's certainly hyping up on the 2002 indie scene.
But yeah, this was an alright match. I liked it. It's way better than everything else thus far.
It was decent. Now we get to a fucking. This took me on a journey. This entire segment, the match. Holy fucking shit. So we are preparing for a 2 out of 3 falls match for the IWA-MS South tag titles. Is
Yes.
the team of the current champions, Mean and Hard, Mean Mitch Page and Roland Hard, against a pair from the bad motherfuckers, Mitch Ryder and Todd Morton. A double Mitch match.
Mitch squared.
So the bad motherfuckers, Ryder and Morton, they come out with ball pain.
Yes.
They get out on the mic and are soon distracted by some absolutely epic signs in the crowd. One of the commentators says, "I hope Smug Mike can get a view of this."
And then he just like stone-facedly reads them out.
Yes, yes. 2 guys have brought signs, or at least these are the first signs that we see. The one on the left says, "Todd is the chosen one," and the second one says, "the gay chosen one."
And you know what Todd Morton's reaction is to this? He gets sight of them and he goes, "What the hell is this?"
And there's also a woman above them who has a sign that says, "Mitch, you are the weakest link, goodbye." And Mitch Ryder extremely mad at this one. And then we see another fucking sign that says, "Bull, the head bouncer at Connections," which, going from context, I think I can safely assume is a gay bar. Why did this pretty intimate seeming crowd bring so many fucking goofy ass signs? It's like, what the this isn't fucking Nitro, or what the fuck?
I think they knew that Smart Mark video was in the house, so they just brought some shit.
I think a lot of these signs are the same fucking guy, or like one of the two. Because now there's a guy that has a sign that says, "The last time I saw something that short and bald was before puberty."
And Jim, he is shocked by this sign, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. It all reminds me of if you've seen like a WWE show in the last few years. There's this long-haired guy that always takes about 9 signs and they're all shit.
I can't remember that exact guy. Like there's so many fucking notorious WWE fans, but like what? Yeah, the signs. It's kind of thinking about it. It's quite like nice how professionally like the guys play off it, like how they integrate it into their promos and all that. It does show that like
That's good.
yeah, it does show like how good they are at improvising, even if improvisation is about how they are gay bitches, and that's bad. They're going to hell for it, however. The promos from like Todd Morton here. Okay, Todd Morton does his own ring announcing, and I suppose that's fine. He's good at it. Like the thing about the actual IWA-MS ring announcer is that he does have some charm to him, but he is just sort of saying people's names normally. Meanwhile, Todd Morton, he has some flair to it, and he has this weird way of dressing down Mitch Ryder. Mitch Ryder, this guy who looks like a goof, honestly, and Todd Morton is saying that tonight is his last chance. And the reason he says why is because he is taking influence from corporations, wherein if you fuck up, then you get fired. And so he's using this, obscure principle of a long forgotten tribe to say that he will also fire Mitch Ryder if he fucks up. And so Mitch Ryder is quite concerned about this, but then Todd Morton announces Mitch Ryder, and he goes, "Yeah."
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that the audio quality is way better, like in-ring promos, than anything that we've covered this so far. I could make everything out.
What I would attribute this to is because they're in a fucking garage. It's not a huge building.
Right, right, true. That does make sense, actually. If it wasn't for this, I would never have known that Ball Payne called a fan a Hawaiian piece of dog fuck.
Yes, he does. Like, he does so much of that. Like, so much of like the time in which this match gets allotted is just Bill Payne going, "Shut the fuck up," and then just like calling people just like horrible names.
Yeah, Ball Payne is fucking like. Okay, this went on fucking long, and it was quite patience testing, but Ball Payne is very entertaining.
I'll just get to this now, because once the match gets started, like there's some other notes on this, but once the match gets started, Mark Wolf gets back on commentary, because the whole thing is he's disgusted by the bad motherfuckers, so he walks off during the promo, because he can't take it, and he comes back when the match is on, and Jim, like, here's the thing about Jim, he has a very esoteric way of saying things. So, like, he sort of goes, "And now Mark Wolf is back here, and Mark, is it already the 3rd anniversary of House of Hardcore?" And Mark Wolf goes, "What?" And he says, "Because that segment went on for what felt like a year." And Mark Wolf does not respond, because how the fuck you, Jim. Shut the fuck up. But, yeah, so this is Mitch's last chance. And I actually did take note of one quote from Bill Payne, which is, "Why don't you sit down and shut the fuck up, you monkey piece of shit." Which is pretty good.
Bull is very great at just coming off like a psychotic, evil motherfucker.
Yeah, he really goes all into this whole thing. And then, like, Mitch, he tries saying some things, but then, like, Bill Payne makes him very subservient. By this point, I decided to stop rating Bill Payne, start rating BP for short. So then I wrote, "Mitch is shut down by BP, Shades of the Gulf of Mexico." So, yeah, then after that, this is a big day for Todd Morton, because this is the day where, after being Bill Payne's best friend for so long, his buddy, he finally gets Bill Payne's attire. And even though the content of it is bad, the way that it's delivered, I think is good. It's just like, Bill Payne goes, "Todd, you've been my buddy for so long. I know you've wanted to be me. And when you look at me in the shower, you want to, oh, wait a minute." Then he gives him his jacket.
Yeah. And Morton is ecstatic at this. He fucking loves that he gets to be mini Ball Payne. Ball Payne is very believable as a guy who has like pretty much complete control over these guys. He's
absolutely.
He's being nice to Todd Morton, and he treats Mitch Ryder like shit.
Yeah, he just like, pushes him with his bat and goes like, "Oh, you motherfucker. Yeah, I'm okay." "No." "Okay." "Okay." That says, "Hello, so you found something." Okay, but anyway. Okay.
Appearance number 2 for your dad on the show.
Why the fuck did you come in there? Anyway. So, yeah, Todd Morton is very happy with being Pequeño Bill Payne, and it's great. And then out comes Mean and Hard, you know, who
Finally.
yeah, so that's Mitch and Rolling Hard, and it's pretty cool. They come out and they're, you know, dancing around a lot, and it's fine. And
They come out to a track called "The Fat Boys Are Back" by the Fat Boys
they are the Fit Boys, that's right.
because they are both quite fat, and they clap it up.
Aye. And Mark Wolf burps at this point.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So I mentioned how the IWA mid-surf ring announcer, it's got some charm, and I sort of thought this here. They get around to introducing me and Hart, and he goes, and in the other corner, the tag team champions, weighing a bunch. And I laughed hard at that.
Also, when he's doing intros, he says for the Bad Motherfuckers team that they're accompanied by Ball Payne, and Ball Payne says, "You're goddamn right, by Ball Payne."
It's good, it's good. The way this match starts is weird.
Yeah, I fucking hate it.
Really? Oh.
After all that, I needed somebody to come out with some fucking urgency, you know, and just it was really
Yeah.
weird because they just seemed to keep fucking stalling and like joking around and fucking making gay jokes.
Okay, so like the way it starts off is just like some like little comedy stuff, and yeah, that does work against the tone of the match that's been set and also the show. But it's funny enough, as in like they tag in a ref, and then the ref gets in there, and like Mitch acts as the ref now, and like Rolling Hard gets on his knees because Todd is small. They start a wheel of Fat Boys chant. It's all fun and all that, but then like
I don't like fun. I like blood. I wanted blood. And we get it eventually, but this first fall was not for me.
We do get it, and then they start like a chant of like a homophobic slur, and then then like Mitch goes into it, and like instead of the Fat Boys are back, he says the Fag Boys are back, and you know, because he's referring to
after I wrote that, I wrote "fuck this sucks" lol.
It really does suck. But then they start, like, they don't really start getting into serious stuff, because the whole thing is that once they get to actually wrestling, they just like keep Todd Morton in this fucking wrist lock, and then they do their illegal tags, sort of like, you know, like the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express, like there we go. And then they go out, and then like the ref goes, huh? But you were, wait a second, crowd, did they tag in? And they go, yeah, they did. And then Jim just goes, the crowd lies on behalf of your tag team champions. Thinking about it, he really is Deuce, isn't he?
He's what?
He's Deuce. Isn't he?
Yes. Yes.
So, the first fall, it just ends when Todd Morton gets a chair and then does his move on it.
Yeah. I was not expecting to hate the start of the match so much. Both mean and hard are good from what I've seen, but I was not into this first fall. But second fall started off a hell of a lot more promisingly. It starts with brawling, rolling hard, quickly gets busted open. Page bleeds to like this. The next two falls kind of kick the ever-loving shit out of the first one for me. It's not even that I dislike like a sort of jokey match. It just didn't feel right. And after that big ass promo, you just want someone to kick their ass, you know?
Yeah, you wanna see someone bleed and whatnot. I like this brawling here. It was quite okay. You know, the highlight of it I thought was when Todd Morton does the Shuji Ishikawa bleacher spots. Do you know what I'm referencing there?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, so he gets I think it's Rolling Hard just up on the bleachers, and then he goes up the bleachers himself and does a very precarious double foot stomp. Yeah, but Todd Morton, unlike Shuji Ishikawa, is not 300 pounds, so it's sort of like he's doing a trampoline.
I didn't have a whole lot written about this fall, but just that it was pretty good brawling, and finally got me back into what they were doing. Mean and hard. Level it up with a tag team drop toe hold into a DDT. Looked pretty nice.
It looks kind of sloppy in a good way, I thought. They could have easily fucked it up,
Yeah,
and that I liked it. Yeah.
Third fall begins much the same as the second fall was, focused on brawling. Ryder sends Rolling Hard's head through a fire exit door. Like, he really just takes that with the top of his head. Brawling escalates and gets a bit wilder. Like, Ryder just starts hurling a bin at Rolling Hard about 4 times in a row. That's pretty fun.
Yes. I love it.
Morton's pretty close to a full Crimson Mask. That's important.
Yeah, for someone who's meant to be like a sniffly, cowardly guy, he really just eats shit in every way this match, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well,
crazy.
not every way, not literally.
That comes later.
Off screen.
That's how you get. That's how you get initiated into the bad motherfuckers.
You have to eat ball paint too. That would actually work, you know. If you made.
Would it?
Well, I can imagine it, and I can imagine Todd Morton. Let's not dwell on this.
You can imagine Todd Morton eating Bill Payne's shit, and you can imagine Bill Payne just be like, "I'm crowning."
So right, yeah.
So
After some more good brawling, it kind of starts unraveling again, where Ryder and Morton start falling out. Morton tries to clothesline him, but Ryder ducks and shoves him. He was meant to fall over Rolling Hard. He was on his knees behind him, but he just kind of missed. And then there's an awkward pin in the ropes. Then Morton hits him unprettier on Ryder, and Page covers him.
And then he leaves.
Yeah.
That's your finish.
That took me on a fucking journey.
It sure did. And you know who ain't happy about this is BP. First, he's mad at Todd because he just willingly lost the match. But then he gets mad at Mitch because he listens to Todd, and Todd is like, that guy, he's terrible. We should exclude him from our group. And then BP's like, I agree. And then he goes like, the reasoning he gives Mitch is it's quite nice. He says, hey, my best friend Todd here, he's bleeding like a stuck pig. Meanwhile, you look as fresh as a daisy. Why is that? Oh, it's because you're in a weak link, just like that sign said. And I liked that. It was cool. And then they beat up Mitch. And then these two guys come out called the Gym Hogs. Who are the Gym Hogs?
I googled, right? I googled Gym Hogs IWA Mid-South. I couldn't fucking find anything.
Were they like local guys who just like fucking got brought along for this show for a run-in and nothing else?
Maybe they're not wrestlers. Maybe they're guys who just hog the local gym.
They were at the gym, but
the Gym Hogs are here, what?
They were still at the gym, but then they felt that someone was in trouble, so they went to save him. Unfortunately, Mitch, despite being thankful for their efforts, wants to fight his own battles. Now he is bleeding as all hell, and what he does is he tells Bill Payne to get in the ring. He tells Bill Payne to put down the bat. Todd Morton comes near him and he says, don't do it, Todd. I'll fucking shoot you.
and Jim crazy babyface now.
Yeah, and Jim says like, "Oh, Mitch Ryder just threatened to kill Todd Morton." And then
he immediately swerves us and gets on his knees and begs to be back in the bad motherfuckers.
Yeah, and Bill Payne lets him. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, he lets him, but he'll have to eat some extra shit tonight. So the match graphic for this whole segment hits the screen at 58 minutes 25 on the video IWTV. The segment finally ends at 1 hour 55:37. Fucking hell. It wasn't a long match, just a lot of talking.
And this is the way the IWA Mid-South pacer shows. It's definitely not to my liking, I don't think. We'll get into how that comes in later.
So we can move on now to a match which is for the IWA Mid-South or light heavyweight title. Although I wouldn't have known that looking at Cage Match. Stricker!
Oh, Striker didn't list it.
No, by the way, every mistake on Cage
Oh.
Match, that's Stricker's fault.
Piece of shit. That's terrible.
Yeah. A Steel is facing Mike Quackenbush, who he's got a really creepy looking mustache. Really not a good decision.
Ill-advised.
He looks like he's in a Sparks cover band comprised exclusively of date rapists.
It's unpleasant to look at, honestly.
Yeah.
At this point, Mike Quackenbush is apparently a published writer because the ring announcer promotes his book.
I'll be reading that. When I'm dead. So,
Unbelievable. Mike Quackenbush.
Now is as good a time as any to sort of point out that we have no intention on covering like Chikara in any great depth.
Yeah.
We might cover a individual match from time to time on a compilation episode, but it does not interest me.
Yeah. We will dedicate some time to like Eddie Kingston Chikara, but that's it. Not any of this other bullshit about Chikara specials. Fuck you. Terrible. Terrible. Terrible.
I love Sean Waltman. El Generico versus 1-2-3 Kid gets a thumbs up from me.
We should take some time for when they decide to book Osaka Pro guys, maybe. Just because me and Mac recently, when we've been talking, like we imagined a lot of stuff about how Eddie Kingston welcomes in people from Japan, you know, as in like the, you know, him being like such like a cool weeaboo, you know, Daisuke Harada comes up at the airport and like Eddie Kingston's there to meet him. It's like, hey, Yoroshiku, motherfucker, come on. And I think we can just cover that, but not Chikara as a whole.
Yeah, cherry pick. So, but we're watching Quackenbush now. Well, we're not now, but we did. Quack, when he gets into the ring, he looks grossed out at the ring canvas, which we haven't touched on yet. It's very blood stained and grimy looking.
Yeah, well, that's sort of what you expect with IWA-MS stuff, you know.
Yeah,
so
Quack looks grossed out, and I was like, have you seen your face, mate? Your face is way more offensive.
Unbelievable. Quack's elbow pads, they look like they haven't grown to full size yet. They're not as fucking disgustingly big as they usually are.
There's another weird chant watch. Just camel toe.
Yes, that gets thrown at. Would it be A Steel because he has like the more dick print on him?
I guess so. Again, I didn't really know what this was in relation to. There's also a fuck the Hardys chant, which pops up a few times on the shows that we watch.
Yeah, that's just like because they do some flippy shit and they're like, hey, Hardys try to do this stuff, but you know, it's stupid.
I think they probably could, guys.
Probably. And speaking of stuff that they could do, they could definitely do all the rolling stuff that we see here better. Because there's a couple of like rolling moves in this show, and as well as a couple others that just look absolutely terrible, like the rolling elbow, which, you know, as you'll know, gets called as the roaring elbow for some stupid fucking reason.
Yeah,
like
I
they just
tried to look up, like, is it roaring or rolling? Is it like
okay?
I'll confuse it as roaring because of like Japanese pronunciation of L's.
People think that the Japanese thing is you exchange L's for R's, but it's not really that. It's a lot more like in Spanish where, like, you know, you go Rus instead of Rus, you know, and the way, like, sometimes, you know, when you're doing a foreign word and it's like ROL, like sometimes that might come across weird, like Roringu elbow, because, like, you know, it's the same sound you're making, and so somehow, even though we can assume this, people decide to say, hey, that's a roaring elbow. Hey, that sounds cool, doesn't it? Doesn't sound fucking stupid. So let's just say that all the time. We are indie wrestlers.
If they go...
And there's no roar to this. There's not even a roar in the elbow. It looks just terrible, doesn't it?
Can't even remember it, mate. Can't even remember it.
Somehow, this is made worse by the fact that the story here, commentary-wise, is that Jim doesn't know wrestling moves. So you're just like, oh, you'll have to help me here with some of the move names, because I don't know them. I'm bad at my job.
All he's been doing is calling move names,
Yeah, it's
and he doesn't even know them.
this match. Ace Steel, you think he's good, right?
I don't have much of an opinion on him at this stage.
Well, I do. I think he's good. He
Okay.
he does a nice tope here when like the crowd's fully out of the way, so he just like clashes into chairs, and Ace Steel he just sort of rests on chairs, and I sort of thought he looked like Scarface just sitting there, seemed quite world weary somehow, and then as well as this they do an STO, and do you remember how it's called?
No.
It's called as a rock bottom with a heel trip. They go for the WWE names quite a lot here.
That's interesting. So I kind of just peeked off, like writing any notes about this at all. And I'm not sure what happened. I think because we're trying to record 3 fucking shows tonight, so I think I just kind of stopped writing notes on this one, just because I thought,
Well, see, I consider doing that sometimes, but then like I found stuff which emotionally stirred me. You know, sort of like Quack doing the lucha rope bouncing looks terrible, and also he has a shitty Tiger Driver, and he's terrible. But then Ace Steel, he does a diving DDT, and I think that's good. And then he wins off that, and so he's a good sport about it. He does a promo which I think is captivating, and then he gets the crowd on Mike Quackenbush's side, so they turn into ducks and start saying quack a lot. That's what they are, it's a bunch of ducks.
you're going to lose us some fans with this anti-Quack stuff.
Well, you already said that we're not covering Chikara because it's shit, so you've already lost it.
Yeah, true. I didn't have the negative reaction to Quack in this match as much. I think he has some nice stuff from time to time. This wasn't particularly impressive or anything, but
He's got that thing. Look, if I can just... He's got that thing where it's a lot like Dragon Gate. You want to talk about losing fans? I'm going to shit on Dragon Gate as well. Look, these guys, they try and like adapt lucha libre into their own style. They try like Dragon Gate has lucha resu, which is like puro resu in lucha, and also Mike Quackenbush has his fucking like Steve Carino descriptor bullshit. Oh, it's lucha libre with Japanese style fucking shit, and what basically does is it attempts to do all the things that Lucha Libre does without a real understanding of what the fuck makes it all work. So what you just get is this bunch of pretzel bullshit that doesn't actually look like it hurts. It looks like you could get out of it, but it's like, oh, this is my special move. It can only be taught to my students. Oh no, someone else has learned the Jakara special. Who has done this? Who has betrayed me? This is what the storyline's about in my promotion. Fuck you, Mike Quackenbush. I hate you.
yeah, I know that he's produced a lot of trainees who can do the sort of intricate shit that he teaches them, but not a lot else. And it's not a good foundation for an actual solid pro wrestler. But I don't have the distaste that you have for Quackenbush as a wrestler in himself, if that makes sense.
Maybe I just respect Blue Demon Jr. too much. Who knows?
I mean, that is very noble.
Yeah, it is. We got our much hyped matchup here. Tag team I Quit match. Axel Rotten is here to cut a promo where he says he hates the British gimmick, which
mate, you had one. That's one for the smart fans, you know. Oh, remember, he had one. Yeah, it's great.
In jokes, smart mark video. Are you catching this? So this brings me to, is Trent Baker a shoot Britman?
No, he's not.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I guess Ian just wanted to pass on his old fake British gimmick for some reason. This Trent Baker apparently worked from 2000 until 2002 and had no matches outside IWA Mid-South. Or at least that's what Striggers tells me. Because we may not cover this show, in fact it's pretty unlikely that we will, I'll point out here that on the 19th of April 2002 IWA Mid-South show, Baker loses to Chris Hero in a loser leaves IWA Mid-South for 90 days match. And then he seemingly vanished from wrestling forever.
Oh, well,
That's a lot more than
you,
90 days, mate. You can come back. You can come back. What are you doing? You must have forgot.
yeah, he's a bit anxious about it, you know. He's not sure if they'll welcome him back. He's just still in England, you know, just like in a pub, just going like, oh, I don't know, guys. William took me back, mate. I don't know. I'm not a proper life to him.
He's in like a British style pub in America because he's a fake Brit.
I do like as well that he gets his weight announced in stone. That's a nice detail. He's 13 stone. And then
Trent Baker, if you're listening, come back to wrestling, man. It's all right. Don't worry. You know, you only had to leave for 90 days, and you left for 18 years.
18 years, unbelievable. And then, okay, so Axelrod says he hates the British gimmick, and then he calls him a slur, and then after that the match gets started, and yeah, then they just start brawling everywhere. Sort of like you said, it's like Bill Payne, he's like a sort of guy who his character is made for this sort of grimy sort of shit. He starts getting his head cut open by like a blade of some sort, and he starts screaming a lot, and then someone says, hey, you scream like a bitch, Bill Payne, and you know, that just seems unfair, honestly.
I think everyone who's screaming in agony probably screams like a bitch.
Yeah, like if you say that, then you should be openly allowing yourself to get cut in the head, you know, to get your like just like body carved open, and then see how you fucking like it.
Yeah. Somebody trying to do like a really macho scream, like, "Roar!" Bad breed are fucking over.
I noticed, because they are perhaps the only people whose theme gets actual claps along from the crowd. The beautiful people, it's a real indicator of popularity. Feels big, you know.
Excuse me. Not to get all Mark Wolf on you, but
Unbelievable.
okay, stay in. So Axel's found a computer keyboard from somewhere to twat Ball Payne in the head with.
Axelrod, he seems quite confused about, you know, this whole thing of a computer keyboard. It seems like it's quite like foreign to him. Like he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't do like the cool New Jack thing of like, you know, typing a lot on it. He just sort of like uses it and then just like, what the fuck is this thing? Like someone just handed it to him and he just used it before he thought about it.
Axel doesn't read the internet, man.
He doesn't read the internet. And then yeah, after that there's a lot of working the arm here, but not in like crappy wrestling way, which like goes against the tone. It's just that apparently Ian Rotten's wrist is dislocated, and so what they did was they just like lay his arm out and then like they stomp on it, they throw chairs on it, they do all this shit that would probably cause grievous injury, but Ian Rotten's okay with it.
He is. So yes, Ian has the injured hand. Ball Payne starts stomping his hand inside a steel chair. Looks pretty cool. And then he smashes a baseball bat, his trademark baseball bat, into Ian's injured.
Yeah, and then like Axel, he gets a thumbtack bat, you know, which is a bat with thumbtacks on it, used in King of Death matches as well. And then like he used it so like recklessly and hard that like on the last one, it was just like it hits Trent and it just goes woo. It like spins right out of the ring. It's fucking weird. Cool.
Big chair shot from Axel onto Trent Baker.
That is true, yeah.
Maybe that's why I didn't feel like coming back after 90 days. Well, I was like, well, Axel Rotten's just gonna fucking cream me with another chair. Might as well just get another job.
We must consider here that Trent Baker left of his own volition. It wasn't just that he was nervous about it not being 90 days, but he was just like, man, I like life where I'm not being chair-shotted in the head. Maybe I should just leave forever. Then, to add to the stuff that he'd enjoy a holiday from, there's also a bit where Axel gets a staple gun and he staples a dollar bill to Rugby's head. And I thought that that's really a terrible move to do somebody because, you know, Trent Baker, he's allergic to money that's not approved by the Queen. So, you know, It's just a terrible time for him.
Axel smashes Baker with a front bat, and then there's like a nice cut to Ian giving ball-paying gross headbutts outside the ring.
Yeah, those headbutts were fucked up, weren't they?
A staple of Ian. He's not afraid to just do that. And at this point, I was enjoying the match quite a lot.
Yeah, and then the way it ends is that, okay, part of the opening promo was that Ian Rotten, he says something like, "Oh, you think Edge and Christian invented double chair shot? Well, guess what? We are gonna do a double chair shot tonight." And so here in their match, they tie up Trent Baker. Jim says this is a trademark of Trent Baker, and so they tie him to the ropes, and then they go to with a double chair shot, as in Axel and Ian are both going to hit his side of the head with a chair, and so they put the mic to him, and he goes, "I quit," and then that's the match ended. Ian and Axel decide to celebrate this by just doing the double chair shot anyway. I'm not sure what Trent Baker thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they did promise.
Yeah, they did promise, and
Ian could never let down the fans.
this is a cool moment. It just feels like fucking like anti-hero, you know, just like something that you'd see in a movie of just like brutality. Maybe in a movie like Trent Baker's head would explode or whatever, but here he just like sells.
Yeah. They also hit ball pain too, for good measure.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Bill Payne also gets double chair shotted. So yeah, and then like Jim like goes over to Mark Wolf. He goes, "Hey, well, guess what, Mark Wolf? The guys who dedicated this beatdown of the bad motherfuckers have done it for you." And Mark Wolf, in approval, he just says nothing.
So yeah, this match was very fun. The crowd fucking loves Axel and Ian. And it's cathartic to see Ball Payne get his shit kicked in after all this fucking time, being all over this show. Yeah, it was good. Can mostly say positive things about this match.
That was good.
Next match is quite a journey.
Hmm.
It is a very famous match on the independent scene from around this time. It's Chris Hero versus the IWA Mid-South Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk. It's labelled as a tables and ladders match for the title. But again, Cage Match does not have this down as being for the belt when it is Stringer.
I actually just went off the independentwrestling.tv listing because that like told me that all the titles were on the line.
I mean, that's probably the better protocol at this point.
I mean, I think that you would be right to sort of assume, based on the content of this match, that it was not a ladder match for a title.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting like obviously it says tables and ladders match. I was expecting them to just be involved rather than it being a ladder match where you climb to get the belt.
But yeah,
but it was that kind of ladder match.
It's something weird, as in because like obviously the ladder match was originated as a thing where you use the ladder to get to a thing on up top. But then it became adapted so like, oh, you can have a ladder match without any belts up top and you just use a ladder as a weapon, which seems stupid, an evolution, if you ask me. And then it's even worse here because, you know, this is a garage. The belt is on a rafter. You could jump up and get it.
That is a good point.
Yeah. That really summarizes why I think this match is stupid. because this match, it goes 50 minutes. It goes 50 minutes and it takes 40 before they even seriously attempt to get the belt, which is fucking 6 feet above them.
Yeah, it's
honestly,
it's tough to buy that they're really attempting to win in these early parts when they're just kind of clearly trying to get through some spots that they've clearly gone over. At the same time, I can see why this match gets acclaim.
I can see it, but I really don't agree with it. Like,
that's fair enough.
Yeah, as in, cause like, see, okay, here's the thing. Like, see, like the action, you know, Punk goes through a table, or Chris he does some spots, or there's some psychology, you know, like it's like in a vacuum, it's good action. But the fucking belt they're fighting over is on a rafter 6 feet above them. They make no attempt to acknowledge it. They just go as if, like they're doing an epic match. And the reason why they're doing that is because above all else they pray that they're going long. So you just do the same epic match just to pad out the time, and so you can go, oh, I went 50 fucking minutes. Look at that. I'm so fucking cool. And just like
a running thing in the commentaries putting over that he went, Punk went like 45. I don't know, 45 minutes last night. I don't know who he was against, but it seems like they have a set amount of time that they want this to go. And they want it to go a long time so they can go, oh, look at these warriors who have lasted so long.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Maybe puke.
But at the same time, like, I don't know, I was really conflicted because I absolutely understand these criticisms that you're bringing, but I cannot hate on surface level the stuff that they're doing, which is good.
Well, look, on surface level, they fucking try and do a sunset flip. Why are you doing a sunset flip in a ladder match?
That was early on.
It was like after, okay, so the order of events is that Punk, he gets inverted, Andre in the ropes, like he gets tangled up, and then Nadia Nice, Chris Hero's girlfriend, she punches Punk in the dick, and then they flip over again, and then, can't remember if it's either Punk or...
Well, Nadia or Nice.
Was it?
Nadia Nice.
Oh.
It didn't really work in our accents. Because they go, naughty or nice. Naughty or nice.
Oh, I see.
Did you just get that now?
I did, yeah. Wait. Oh, okay. I got it now. For reals. Nadia Nice. Well.
Naughty or nice.
Nadia or nice.
Anyway, carry on what you were saying. I just needed to put that. Her name.
Naughty or nice, she decides to be naughty by punching Punk in the dick, and then like he gets flipped over by Chris Hero and back into the ring, and then they attempt a sunset flip. So it's a thing where you try a sunset flip, and then they slap your hands away or something like that, and it's just, you can't pin in a ladder match.
You can't fucking do this sort of stuff. It's a ladder match. You go and get the belts. You don't try this bullshit. You could easily just go up right now. Who's stopping you?
I hated it.
The venue doesn't help this, because right, you think of a ladder match, you think of a belt hanging up pretty high above the center of the fucking ring. You don't think of it hanging just sort of slung on a beam that's above the one side of the fucking ropes and the turnbuckles.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It is weird, yeah. Like, that's the thing. It's just like, there's a couple of stuff which, like, I could probably find cool, but it's just like the environment it's in, and the clear patting yourself on the back, just like, self-aggrandizing bullshit where like you're just like, wow, we're going so fucking long, bro. just like it validates it all, honestly.
This would actually be a lot better if it was the other kind of ladder match. I know you said that's kind of stupid, but if it's just transparent that, well, a ladder is here so that we can do loads of fucking mad spots, and
yeah,
it's escalated to this point where we hate each other so much that we want to dive off a 10-foot ladder.
Well, as well, it can just be a normal match.
It could be. That's an interesting concept. But we're talking about CM Punk here, and we've got to put him over as the best wrestler in the world. So I think we need a fucking gimmick.
Yeah, what are the fucking uses there in proving this by having him win a match by pinfall? Honestly, he has to win by like screwy ladder match bullshit. So yeah, we've ended up talking about this a lot less than the actual match itself.
So did you not agree with Ian Rotten when he said that this is the greatest match in wrestling history?
No.
Oh,
I thought it was terrible.
Okay.
Like
I didn't.
Like, honestly, I thought that whole deal, like, really just, like, worsened it for me. Because, okay, the finish of this is after a whole bunch of stuff, of, like, bumps and tables and all this stuff, and balcony falls and all that. What happens is, Chris Hero goes up and he gets the belt. But, oh no, before that, their ref bump happens. Because CM Punk knocked out the ref, so Chris Hero gets the belt. But then CM Punk comes in and takes the belt, and ref says, "Oh, you got the belt. Okay, ding, ding, ding," and that's Punk winning. And like as soon as like the ref bumped down, I just thought, okay, this is what's going to happen, and then it happened, which in my mind, it's not a very good finish. And then, as soon as the bell rings, this CM Punk guy, he's been a heel all throughout. He beat up Naughty or Nice, like he tombstoned her through a table. That's one of the things that happened. It was kind of weird. And he's a heel, right? He did heel stuff to win the match. So what happens then? Immediately, to congratulate him on their efforts, the roster floods in, and everyone's buddy. They're just a bunch of wrestlers who are like, "Wow, bro, that was a 5-star match." And then they just like, just like pat themselves on the back, and Ian Rowan does a speech, and Chris Hero and CM Punk, these hated rivals, they hug, and it just feels so fucking garbage, man. I hate it.
Yeah, they really fucking... It was quite jarring how quickly they throw kayfabe out of the window as soon as this match ends. I kind of understand why they do it. Like, obviously they're leaving this venue. It's been a very important venue for them, and I can understand having moments like this. But when you kind of dip in, it's not very good. Like this is for the House of Hardcore faithful. It's not really for for us.
No. Okay. Look, when you say that you understand why this match is legendary, I get what you mean. But could you just like, in your words, what do you see in this match which makes you think I understand the reputation?
Well, they just put it all on the fucking line. That's the gist of it. I usually respect a match like that at the very least, but there is obviously like logical holes in this match. This match is a logical hole because it's just not believable that it would take 55 minutes for somebody to get that fucking belt.
Yeah.
I think because they know that they're going to go 55 minutes, I think they did okay to make that engaging. When you engage somebody in a match for 55 minutes, people say that it's fucking, the best thing in the world sometimes. That can happen quite a lot.
Yeah, like it didn't drag at least. So like it went by easily enough.
Yeah.
In this case, it's not so much as that like you didn't know what to do with the time. It's just that what they were doing at the time was fundamentally flawed.
It didn't feel like a slog. It's just the inability to buy into it,
Yeah, and it's a similar problem to the thing that we saw with Chris Cash and GQ. Chris Cash versus GQ #1 was that even though it was not very good, they still lapped on the praise for it. And it's worse here because like people are just like going fucking nuts over it, and like everyone's just like praising them. Ian Rowan, as we said, is just proud of these boys. CM Punk, he also got some problems like, this place gave me an opportunity and all that. Like, that's sort of stuff CM Punk used to say back in the day, and like it just doesn't feel earned. I don't agree with any of it.
So I'll touch on the post-match in a sec, but I just want to point out that during this match, one other commentator says, "You gotta love the Pandelirium."
Is that a Steel or Quackenbush?
I don't know.
It does sound like Quackenbush.
It's probably the only like really quotable moment from this. As for the post-match, I mean, I had an admiration for Punk just because of his magnetism. It's fucking astounding. Because I don't know how old he would have been at this time. Early 20s at this point, CM Punk. He just very much had them in the palm. It sounds like this hated heel is immediately babyface, and even though that's kind of fucking stupid, it's
if you're gonna like give a farewell to a precious venue, then it makes sense.
Yeah. But why listen to any of our analysis when you can read cage match user Tyler Rollins's?
Oh,
he wrote of this match, a classic and milestone for indie wrestling. They too wrote a piece of story with this match. Incredible.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Rollins, shut the fuck up.
Burn it down.
Julian Rollins, unbelievable. Seth Rollins, who is now participating in a cuckold storyline.
And getting very defensive about it.
Yeah, look, I'm thinking about it now. That is the most. That feels like they're fucking with him. After he goes, "Hey, I'm doubling down on this. I'm doubling down on this. WWE is the greatest wrestling. Don't fucking add me," and all that, right? After that, after all this, him saying he's very proud of his work, everyone there is the best. He becomes the fourth most important person in a cuckold storyline. You know something? That's the roosters. The what? Okay, wait. The cows have come home to. You know what I mean? Like, it's finally here. The revelation, the revelation that the Attitude Era was not very good, and that's been revealed because they've brought back the stuff that people want out of it. Well, at least the stuff they say they want out of it. Like, oh, we're no longer PG. We are doing mature storylines. But really, what was of any merit from the Attitude Era was just that stuff was hot and like the guys were badass. It wasn't just that Beaver Cleavage was on every single second of Raw. And so, yeah, it's going to be a rude awakening for the YouTube comment section, I think. But yeah.
But Corey Graves said shit.
He did, didn't he?
Oh my god.
Sterling James Keenan.
New boom period. Sterling James Keenan. By God.
When's he going to show up here in this journey?
I don't know. Let's have a look, see if he works for Ring of Honor or anything. Oh. He has a match in 2003, apparently. In Ring of Honor.
Great.
Yeah. Woohoo! we have that to look forward to. Yeah, he has some scat around in the 2000s.
It's not really good. I don't like him as a wrestler. But yeah, so Sterling James Keenan in Ring of Honor. You know,
I can't fucking wait.
I can't fucking wait. And based on what we see of Ring of Honor here, oh boy. Okay, IWA Mid-South. This semi-main happens. And this is a semi-main for the IW title. And you know what? It's fitting that it's a semi-main because the main is much more important. What is the main?
The main is Corporal Robinson, Madman Pondo, and Necro Butcher in a fans bring the weapons match.
Yes. Now, it reminds me of how they sent off Differ Ariake in the last Differ Cup. Did you watch that show?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so the Differ Cup was the interpromotional thing they did for like tag team stuff, as in like it would have been like, you know, Hiraka and Fujita versus like Kenta and Marufuji and all that, you know. 2017 they decided to do one last one because Differ Ariake, the building in which it was happening, the building in which Noah was started, you know, where Noah's offices were, was going to be demolished. So they decided to do one last Differ Cup, and they didn't actually main event it with the Differ Cup finals. They main evented it with Ohara and Kenoh versus Daisuke Harada and Kotoge, just because for a building such as that, they decided to run a throwback match of like a combo that was pretty good. Similarly, here and now, for the House of Hardcore thing, instead of just having a main event of a title match, they're deciding to have an all-stars sort of, here's the legacy of House of Hardcore, these three schlubs.
It felt very fitting after this point. It was pretty beautiful.
Aye. It's pretty fine. You want to talk about how much IWA-MS loves time as a concept? Well, they make a big deal about how, oh, it's 1:15 a.m. right now, and we're still partying hard.
I mean, that'll be us later on when we cover the other shows that we're going to cover. Oh, it's still 3:15. We're partying hard.
Let's
Corp is fucking cool. He comes down to a track called Left, Right, Left by Drama. It's crucial that I point that out because it's just fucking a great crunk track. Listen to it now. Not you.
Because you posted it after hearing it.
Yes.
And he just looks cool. He's got like a fucking horrific head, and he seems to give no fucks about it. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Pondo as well. You know, we talked about on our first ever episode about how Madman Pondo, the jolly way in which he was coming off, it wasn't like how he is later on. And this is later on now, because he's a lot more surly. He looks like he hates everyone, and, you know, it's pretty nice.
But he immediately turns babyface because he gets on the mic and is like, well, Punk and Hero was so good that Pondo simply cannot keep kayfabe. It is not feasible.
and I really like the thing he does with Ian Rosen here, because like someone from the crowd tackles like, "Oh, Ian made you who you are, Madman Pondo," and he's like, "You know what, Betsy," or something like that. He's like, "You know what? You're right. Ian Rotten did make me who I am. I wouldn't be Madman Pondo without him." And then he says some other stuff, sentimental and all that. Then Ian Rotten grabs the mic, and he says, "Pondo, you're right. You wouldn't be where you are today without me." He just got turned into an asshole, honestly. But yeah, it's all. I don't know why I couldn't have waited till after the match. They just basically do a retrospective on House of Hardcore as a venue, and also IWA as a venue before the match. And also Ian goes, "And by the way, we're not closing down." His promo is weird. I sort of wish it just waited till afterwards.
We didn't mention that Ian books Punk versus Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio for the next major IWA Mid-South show, which I'm pretty sure we'll be able to cover that.
Yeah.
So the bell rings in this match, and all three, they immediately go outside and start just throwing all the chairs around for some reason to make sure that everybody stands up.
Yeah. I
guess this was cool.
Yeah, they make a thing of, hey, no people sitting down, we just want all standing room here, and it sort of contributes to the atmosphere. Yeah, they just say no sitting down, and this is where like all the fans come in, because it looks cooler when everyone's standing up, you know, because as is remarked upon by Mark Wolf with some disbelief, there are a lot of light tubes in the crowd. People just brought that shit along.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. Someone also brought hedge clippers, and they're used to queasy looking effect.
There's a random child on commentary at one point.
That's Nick Manowar.
Oh right, okay. Wait.
Yeah.
You said that they sounded kind of meek. I'm pretty sure this is a child.
That's his thing. As in, like, he gets called upon sometimes by Jim to, you know, like say the name of a move or something like that. But then, like, Mark Wolf is apparently just like not there, so he decides to just put Nick Manowar on color commentary, and it's pretty shit because he really bullies the guy, you know, as in just like, like, this is the thing about Jim as well, like, the esoteric way he sort of says stuff that he thinks is funny, it just sort of like, you can hear him thinking it's humorous, but he also just sounds like an asshole. He's like, "Oh, if you say anything out of line, Nick Manowar, I'll slap you." Like, what?
Back to the match, and Corp and Necro are trading some pretty fucking grim headbutts. Especially one that Corp gives to Necro is especially like, ugh.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I do enjoy. I'm not sure "enjoy" is the right word, because I always go like, "Oh no." It is good. It is good.
Ultimately, yeah, it's doing what it's trying to do. You know, what it's trying to accomplish, and you know, like Madman Pondo, he's just setting up spots like a motherfucker. Just like some stuff where like it's so fucking like set up, you just like fold over to respecting it. You know. Yeah, like he makes up a pyramid of chairs. And then what he does is he puts like a piece of fabric on the chairs, which he then lights on fire. And then he ends up getting put through it. And he doesn't land really on the fire. He just lands on some chairs. And then the chairs collapse. And the fire's just still there. Ian Rutten has to come over and put it out himself.
Yeah. I guess the chairs were hot, at least.
Really putting him in the hot seat of that one.
Yeah.
And Jim, just to really prove that he's Deuce, he just goes, "Firefighter Ian Run coming in now." Monday Night Jim fanning. And then after this, there's a bunch of other stuff. Like there's a couple like novel items that the crowd has. Like Necro Butcher, he gets a hold of a video game system which has a bunch of light bulbs on it, so he just uses that.
Pondo gets Corbin and Necro set up on chairs in the ring. He goes to his
Yeah.
top rope, puts a light tube vertically across his back, and swantons onto both of them. That's cool.
Oh yeah, that looked crazy, didn't it?
One of the weapons that has been bought is like a large trophy.
Yes.
That gets balanced across two chairs. Light tubes have been stuffed in between like the beams of the trophy. Pondo grabs some like I don't even know what it is, some random barbed wire thing, stacks that all on top of that.
Yeah. What he does is he asks for every single light tube in the crowd, so he just gets a whole bunch of stuff. He's just grabbing stuff from everybody, but he misses one guy out, and this guy he's just holding one like wee light tube, and just like, Fondo, hey, you missed me out, Fondo, and then he doesn't get to use his light tube.
Oh.
Very sad. But then
We'll have to break it over his head.
that's exactly what I was thinking, honestly. Like if you wanted to fucking just like have a right good night, go back to Peepaw and Mama and say, hey, I went to IWA Mid-South and I had a great time. Hey, look at this. I smashed the light tube over myself. That's how you really leave a memory. But yeah, they make this huge contraption, and what it leads to is this thing where Corporal Robinson and Necro Butcher, they are on the top rope and they are fucking doing some shit, but then Madman Pondo, he gets involved, and then what ends up happening is that he ends up getting superplexed by Corporal Robinson and Necro Butcher. Do some fucking triple team shit with each other, and his legs hit the contraption that they made, and so he doesn't really get hurt by it, but it broke, and that's what we want to see, just a bunch of like glass flying everywhere. And so then Corporal Robinson and Necro Butcher, they both pin Madman Pondo, and they just said, oh, they are both the winners.
Yeah, it was a strange finish, but then Necro gets on the mic and he's got thumbtacks sticking out the top of his head, and he says quite softly, I think there were 3 winners. And that honestly put a lump in my fucking throat. Like, that was beautiful.
Necro, he's got weird words,
Yeah. Thank you, you crazy fucking CT MAGA weirdo. That was a legitimately beautiful moment.
It was a cool match, and I liked all the violence that happens, and just like, I'm pretty sure as well, they while they're brawling on the outside, they like end up like sort of breaking the garage door of the House of Hardcore, and then commentary goes like, whoa, I thought we were leaving the tearing down the building till afterwards, not right now. And I like that.
One good thing about this match, and also the match preceding it as well, the Hero Punk match, it's that it seemed like they were actually going to take the venue with them.
Aye.
Like just breaking the walls and fucking everything up.
It's very romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a weird and messy match, this main event, but it was a lot of fun.
Aye, I liked it.
After the match, it's badass replay time, featuring slow-mo shots. I love that shit.
Yeah, it was all pretty good. And then, they have the happy ending where everyone just like, they're going like, oh, I'm gonna miss you, it's a hardcore, not even knowing what Tommy Dreamer's got cooking up in that brain of his. But yeah,
Tommy Dreamer's brain.
Tommy Dreamer's brain, he's still sort of on, trying to kill Paul Heyman, but soon he's gonna get to a different thought. But
It's alright, Jim Ross saved his life, that's fine.
How do you think Jim Ross felt reading that?
I don't know, I really want to find out what Paul Heyman thought.
I mean, he probably hasn't thought about Tommy Dreamer in years, so. But yeah, this was overall, I hated this show, but some parts of it were good. It was very long, 4 hours and 10 minutes, and an hour of that was the worst match on the card. So, considering that, would I
You
recommend it?
actually thought it was the worst match on the card. Worse than like Adrian Serrano.
Well, look, that got out of the way like in short enough time, you know. Meanwhile,
Sure. Oh man.
yeah,
Never
that
mind.
I mean, like, I don't know how, like, the people who listen to this, the people who think, hey, like, you guys are friends, so we will listen to your podcast, let's hear your views on this thing. I don't know what their consensus is on this feud of Chris Hero and CM Punk. I assume that it's quite positive, and so, you know, I might be going against your fucking doctrine, but guess what? It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, the show was very hard to watch at times, but I found it quite rewarding by the end. I suppose that's all that needs to be said on the last show.
I wish it was the last show of this fucking promotion. Okay. I don't really mean that, Ian. I'm sorry. Well, yeah,
But
yeah,
Necro
well,
versus Joe.
yeah, Necro versus Joe. Necro versus Joe. But yeah, is there anything else to say on this escapade of Ian Rotten? Then it's time for some plugs. I've got the VK going on. I've just upped a new addition to the Rings folder. Now, I'd uploaded this in full, but I watched it recently, so I now have like match by match Quantic Crane Experiment Round 3 from 1993, and it's a very good show. It features the debut of Dirty Bob Schreiber, and in Japanese they call him Bobu, and I think that's great. And yeah, and during his match he like kisses his opponent on the head when the round ends, and it's really cute. So I've uploaded that, and as well as that, obviously got the 1999 Ultrapan going on. There's going to be some full shows of that year going to be up because obviously there's some G Plus rebroadcasts of shows, but as well as that, obviously the Ultrapan archive getting uploaded as well, and that should be going good. What's more, I obviously have the High Speed podcast now with my buddy Confidant Luke. This is a podcast which is covering matches that are only under 10 minutes. So and the whole thing is that we only give ourselves the time of the match to discuss it. So, for example, our first episode was Kaori Oniyama versus Yumi Oka. That match was about 90 seconds, so we gave ourselves about 90 seconds to discuss it. And it's a nice little thought experiment to, you know, condense our thoughts into things. And, you know, like, our recent episode was a match that was about maybe like 5 minutes, and we actually found that harder because, you know, it's easy enough thinking like, okay, I gotta say this thing in like 10 seconds, that's fine. But when you're starting to pace yourself, oh, that's when it gets hard. So you can see, you can like just tune in to watch us squirm that.
Where do I listen? Where do I listen to this? Is there a Twitter setup or anything like that?
Yeah, it's a subdivision of the Apricot podcast, the Miracle Apricot podcast that is, and that you can find that at Apricot Pod, and there they have a SoundCloud, they have a Spotify, all these sort of things where, you know, you can find the High Speed podcast as well as the Miracle Apricot podcast too. It's good that you bring up because they did recently release an episode featuring interviews with Gato Move Talents, featuring Darcy Stone as well as Balianaki.
Helped organise that interview.
Fuck, that's right. You keep doing stuff that I forget that you do them, and then I just like go, hey Eva, did you hear about this? And then fucking okay. So Eva, co-producer of the Miracle Apricot podcast. Great that we've got shit aligned here.
I kind of need a piss, and I think that would be a good time to just completely move on to the CCW show, which you will be hearing as the next episode.
That's the next episode. God damn it. Wow.
And this time,
This time?
because that's the name of the show. Yeah. Get it?
Yeah. You cut it there. I was waiting for it still, but yeah, this time it's personal. Ah. Okay.